Let me begin with the complaint that produced this series, because I suspect it's your complaint too. You hear that Kabbalah is the deepest chamber of Judaism. You get curious. You open a book or you watch a video, and within 90 seconds, you're hearing about supernal emanations, the withdrawal of the infinite light, vessels shattering in a world before this one, and none of it connects to anything you've ever felt, done, or seen. So you conclude reasonably that this material is for someone else, whether it be mystics, scholars, or people with different lives than yours, and you close the book. I want to spend 8 episodes showing you that that conclusion is wrong. But the complaint is right. The abstraction is a real problem. It is not, however, a problem with Kabbalah. It is a problem with how Kabbalah gets translated, and it has a specific cause worth understanding. Because once you see the cause, the whole subject unlocks. Here is the cause. The Kabbalists, the authors of the Zohar, the circle of Rabbi Isaac Luria in 16th century Safed, the Chassidic masters who brought this material to ordinary Jews in the 8th century were not writing about some remote realm that has nothing to do with you. They were doing almost exactly the opposite. Their method, and they say this openly, was to start from human experience and reason upwards. The Torah says the human being is made in the image of God. The Kabbalists took that verse with total seriousness and drew the conclusion. Then the inner life of human being, how we love, how we restrain ourselves, how we make room for others, how we break and rebuild, is the best available map of how God relates to the world. When the Zohar talks about kindness on the right and severity on the left, it is not describing furniture in heaven. It is describing the same two forces you negotiated this morning when you decided whether to let your teenager off the hook or hold the line. The abstract vocabulary came from the ordinary experience, not the other way around. But here is what happened. Over the centuries, the experience side of the equation got worn away by translation, jargon, and by teachers who enjoyed sounding mysterious. What reached you was the ceiling without the floor, the technical terms minus the human situations they were coined to describe. Of course, it means nothing. It's like being handed sheet music by someone who never mentions that it is meant to be played. So the rule of this series is simple, and I will keep it in every episode, one concept at a time, and every concept anchored to an experience you've actually had. If I cannot land a Kabbalistic idea in your kitchen, your office, or your worst week, I will not teach it. Before we begin, 3 ground rules. First, Kabbalah is not magic. It is not red strings, blessed water, or techniques for attracting wealth. The genuine tradition will regard most of what is sold under its name as somewhat between a misunderstanding and a desecration. Kabbalah is a body of Jewish theology, on account, worked out over centuries with enormous discipline, of how the infinite relates to the finite and what human life is for. It asks things of you, it sells you nothing. Second, Kabbalah is not a separate religion hiding inside to Judaism. It is the inner commentary on the Judaism you already know. Every Kabbalistic idea is anchored to a verse, a mitzvah, a prayer you may have been saying for years without knowing it had a basement. The Kabbalah of Shabbat is about your actual Friday night. The Kabbalah of speech is about your actual mouth. When we meet these concepts, you will keep discovering that you have been standing on top of them your whole life. And third, the tradition itself was historically cautious about this material. The Talmud tells of 4 sages who entered the orchard of mystical speculation, and only Rabbi Akiva emerged whole. Classical practice restricted deep study to mature students grounded in Torah and Talmud. Why? Not because the ideas are dangerous secrets, but because ungrounded abstraction does exactly what you've experienced it doing. It floats away from life, and a person can float away with it. The Chassidic revolution of the 18th century was, in large part, a decision that the essence of this material could and should be brought to every Jew, the milkman, the tailor, precisely by translating it back into lived experience. That is the lineage this series stands in. We are not diluting Kabbalah by making it concrete. We are restoring its original method. Let me give you one small taste now, so you leave the first episode with something in your hands. One of the most famous Kabbalistic teachings, we will spend the whole episode on it, says that every physical thing contains a hidden spark of divine light, and that human beings are here to find and lift those sparks. Stated like that, it is poetry at best. Now let me retranslate it in the way the Baal Shem Tov taught it to villagers. Nothing in your day is spiritually neutral. The meal you eat, the customer you serve, the conversation you did not plan to have, each one came to you specifically because there was something in it that only you can turn towards the good. So here is the road ahead. We will meet the infinite, Ein Sof, and the astonishing idea of Tzimtzum, divine self-withdrawal, which turns out to be the best account of love, parenting, and good management you will ever hear. We will take the 10 Sephirot, that diagram you have seen in books and videos, and discover it is not a map of heaven, but a grammar of your own inner weather. We will stand in the wreckage of the broken vessels, which is to say, in the wreckage of your broken plans, and learn what Tikkun actually asks of you. We will tour the 5 levels of the soul and find out why you can be rested and still exhausted. We will learn Kavanah, the art of doing the same thing differently. We will spend Friday night with the mystics, and at the end we will climb down Jacob's ladder, deliberately downwards to where Kabbalah always intended to arrive, an ordinary person in an ordinary life doing ordinary things with open eyes. The Zohar calls the divine presence in this world by a striking name, the Shekhinah, the indwelling, not the transcendent, not the faraway, the indwelling. Whatever Kabbalah is, it is the tradition's longest meditation on one claim, that God is not elsewhere. If the language has made you feel that this subject is elsewhere, too high, too strange, or not for you, then the language has been betraying the message. For 8 episodes, we're going to put that right. In the next episode, the infinite, the vertigo you have felt at 3 in the morning, and why the deepest idea in all of Kabbalah is about stepping back.